A disturbing discovery in Clarence House has shaken the royal family. Workers discovered a hidden area beneath Queen Camilla's bedroom wall during a regular refurbishment, shocking the palace. From intriguing things to extremely intimate secrets, this revelation has prompted troubling questions about Camilla's private background and regal role. Why did it stay hidden? How does it affect the royals? A simple inspection that shocked. It was supposed to be a routine palace check that rarely draws attention. Internal security teams were undertaking structural evaluations across the royal palaces to ensure that Buckingham Palace's oldest areas were secure, discreetly maintained, and free of overlooked threats. Usually, such work was done in the background. Technicians measuring cracks, inspectors detecting wetness, electricians examining hidden wiring. Not the kind of occasion that makes golden corridors whisper. In Queen Camilla's private chamber, Buckingham Palace, one of the world's most recognized structures, symbolizes Britain. Unusual activity occurred. In the name of structural strengthening, her gorgeous but well-hidden bedroom was inspected. The chamber was majestic yet difficult to examine due to centuries-old plaster, intricate cornices, and heavy draperies. As they started, the team discovered something odd along an inner wall. An untrained eye could hardly see a minor irregularity beneath a beautiful tapestry. The seam didn't match the wall's design. It was formerly considered as innocuous settling, usually found in old buildings. No other building on Earth is a family home and presidential office. However, devices put on the surface gave unusual readings. Wall was weaker than expected. The polished facade hid an empty hollow deeper than the room's designs predicted. Senior palace security was called since protocol mandated prompt reporting of suspicious activity. The room quieted. This discovery was unusual. This was purposefully hidden. The inspectors gently removed the tapestry and traced a faint outline of a sealed access point. Thick dust collected around the seams, indicating decades of neglect. Even the most experienced team members noticed the change in atmosphere. Whispers prolonged the inspection, which was supposed to last less than an hour. A crack led to questioning. What caused it? Who sealed it? Why was there no record? Decision made swiftly. The wall would be investigated. As the first tools were brought closer, everyone in the room knew this was no ordinary inspection. What started there could unravel more than plaster and stone. But the actual question remained. Was this wall hiding a secret or scandal? Stay with us. The truth will emerge. Unveiled passage. Tool tapping on plaster resonated unnaturally in Camilla's bedroom. Every scrape and measured incision made the inspectors feel like they were inspecting a different wall. The surface gradually crumbled, revealing a deeper purpose than a hollow void. Under the smooth plaster and ornate molding was a secret panel with sharp edges and a strengthened frame, as if the builder had intended it to be hidden for generations. Discovery changed the room's mood instantly. Instead of a tiresome pole, it felt like a real-time mystery book. Palace security allowed the panel to be carefully removed with accuracy. After a reluctant creak, the hidden door opened, releasing a heavy, stale, and old air. This was the breath of a space without sunlight in decades. A flashlight caught something unexpected behind it. Great Britain and the 4 continents in the corner are larger. A narrow stone corridor with dust and cobwebs. Even the inspectors hesitated to enter due to the damp smell and thick quiet. Anyone who entered had to go carefully, practically sideways, because the corridor was narrower than a man's shoulders. The building seemed old, possibly from palace records lost changes. Some murmured that many royal homes had hidden rooms and corridors, relics of an era when kings and queens needed escape routes or private chambers away from servants. But this felt different. The architecture was more like a vault, shut and forgotten, than an escape path. Palace blueprints confirmed the oddity. No mention of a hollow passage in that building. No recorded branching rooms from Camilla's suite. The fireplace in the King's Gallery has a map above it. Whoever created it kept it secret by omitting it from official documents. Taking cautious steps, the inspection crew pushed forward. Every movement kicked up dust from the ceiling, and faint bugs scuttling filled the silence. More unsettling. The deeper they probed, the more obvious it was not a structural anomaly. The passage was purposefully blocked, but something was at the end. Our corridor ended in a little nook with darker, weathered stonework. The wavering headlights barely illuminated a big, old chest that seemed out of place. It seems to have been placed there intentionally and left to time. The team glanced. What began as plaster dust in a royal bedroom led them to a forgotten chamber. One thing was evident as they prepared to check the chest. Someone took considerable pains to hide it. Shadowed chest. The dust-covered object sat silently at the end of the concealed tunnel, as if time had tried to bury it. In a small, claustrophobic hallway, a torch illuminated a chest that seemed curiously out of place. It looked centuries older than the room it was hidden behind, being heavy, rectangular, and iron-bound. The lock remained intact despite its rusty hinges and warped wood, as if it had been sealed intentionally. Inspectors pondered their next move. An unrecorded chamber was one thing, but a purposely hidden object was another. Protocol required royal security to act immediately. Senior cops entered the concealed corridor in minutes, their tread foreboding. They ordered complete documentation. The chest and alcove are photographed and measured. Not only is it art, but the metal dial and how it operates are stunning. Every detail was recorded before touching the smallest latch. However, the atmosphere thickened with each second. The team believed the chest was more than neglected storage. It was carefully placed in the nook, looking outward like it was waiting to be found. No dust trails led to or from it, indicating no touch in decades. The corroded lock seemed robust. It initially refused to open with standard instruments, as if the chest resisted movement. One cop advised transporting it back to a safe area for supervised investigation, but others suggested opening it on-site before too many people knew about it. Debate alone showed how rare the discovery was. This was no ordinary palace relic. Something hidden with intent. We decided to move carefully but directly. The tight hallway echoed with crowbars and other equipment clanging against the iron fittings. Everyone felt the strikes louder than the last, vibrating in their stomachs. A jarring snap broke the lock after what seemed like an age. No one moved for a while. The chest was weak, its secrets inches away. Flashlights waited for the lid to be lifted. The senior officer gave the command, and the chest opened slowly, groaning from its old hinges. Inside were no gold piles, forgotten diamonds, or palace inventory. Instead, parchment, ribbon-bound bundles, and aged leather covers were exposed. Room went quiet. This was no minor discovery. It seems that the past had been purposefully suppressed and was now demanding to be heard. These frail papers could be recollections or evidence of long-buried secrets. Keep watching. The revelations are only beginning. Unexpected content. The squad crept closer as the chest lid creaked open, bracing for obsolete inventories, abandoned ledgers, or personal items. But the sight before them stopped every breath in the tight tunnel. Under a thin coating of dust, bundles of letters tied neatly with faded ribbons, stacks of parchment that had yellowed, and various leather-bound diaries with personal weight were inside. It wasn't royal-style clutter. These intimate, curated, and meticulously organized artifacts appeared to have been preserved. Each package was frail, with thin paper that could collapse with a simple touch. The chest reeked of old ink and parchment, almost hauntingly, like entering someone's intimate thoughts without permission. The inspectors hesitated, fearing their discovery would exceed their mandate. Palace security ordered careful handling of the items. Put on white gloves, take pictures, and log everything. The first set of letters was slowly removed, showing exquisite handwriting on unopened envelopes. The ink was pale, yet legible, and the pen strokes were intentional and expressive. One journal was carefully inspected, and royal history students recognized the handwriting. They weren't anonymous notes or household documents. Someone whose voice had captured the globe once spoke them. The crew didn't read closely at this point, but the names, language, and dates gave signals. These writings were unofficial. Private reflections, pages that seemed never to be published. Location made the discovery much more puzzling. Historians and royal officials preserved such items by archiving, cataloging, or storing them. They were stashed behind a bedroom wall in a secret corridor no one knew existed. The cover-up suggested intent or secrecy, beyond basic oversight. The journals vary in size. Some were pocket-sized and had worn covers, indicating frequent use. Others were heavier, wrapped in dark leather with gold-etched corners, made for durability. Folded pages slipped between volumes in the chest, as if tucked away quickly. Also, unsealed envelopes, including informal notes made as if never intended to be transmitted. Each layer revealed more questions. Who put them there? Why were they hid so? Perhaps most importantly, what truths may they contain? The team immediately recognized that this was more than old paper. Voices silenced and stories untold. Treasure and relics were not in the chest. Diana's unheard voice might shake the monarchy more than any lost jewel or heritage. Reading the first chapters silently changed the atmosphere in the concealed section. The structural inspection became nearly sacrosanct. A familiarity was evident in the delicate yet forceful script. It was Diana. Every curve and flare of her handwriting and ink mirrored her prior public letters and notes. These were distinct. These were unedited, unguarded, and pinned in places she hoped no one would see. The entries appeared to be journal entries, short phrases, fragmentary ideas, and honest moments. However, I realized what was going on in my head and hers. Beyond casual thoughts, the content resonated. Loneliness, unsaid concerns, and feeling overshadowed were common. Diana's statements weren't performance-oriented. Interviews, public sympathy, and legacy were not their purpose. These remarks were for her alone and appeared to ache with truth. One faded blue ink paragraph. Read, "They smile at her now like I hoped they'd smile at me. My absence has made me easier to love, but not when I was here." Though no names were given, the suggestion was clear. Camilla haunted practically every paragraph, not as an accusation, but as a reminder of a hurt that had never healed. Another entry was darker. She attended the World Congress on Osteoporosis in Lisbon as a society ambassador. The review committee was particularly surprised by the reflection's uniformity. Diana returned to themes of invisibility, solitude, and the tenuous hope that her truth would emerge across several notebooks over months and possibly years. She spoke with placid resignation, as if she had accepted history's treatment. Among these observations were unsent, unstamped letters. Some were tucked into journals, as if hidden from her. These letters have the same voice, but a more personal tone. They were addressed to nameless recipients, but the context suggested family, confidants, or perhaps her young sons. Palace security agents, trained to stay neutral, appeared rattled. In addition to paper, they encountered a decades-old voice. Diana had left more than reflections, speaking louder than ever. She left traces of a legacy that had been carefully hidden. Now those bits had broken through the walls, wanting to be heard. Could these concealed manuscripts push the palace to face facts it thought were eternally buried? Stay with us. Panic was only begun. Palace panicked. The chest was scarcely taken from the concealed tunnel when Buckingham Palace went from curious to catastrophe. What was rejected as a structural check revealed highly sensitive documents, with consequences too great to ignore. The discovery was carefully taken to a secure archive room under armed escort within hours, but rumors circulated faster than officials could hold them. Behind closed doors, senior advisors rushed. Crisis management, measured pronouncements, carefully orchestrated silences, and deliberate distractions were the monarchy's specialties. But this was different. No scandals or brief controversies made these headlines. Diana's raw, private words are now unmistakable. They were hidden in Camilla's bedroom wall. The visuals alone might destroy decades of confidence. Several meetings were called quickly. Advisors, legal specialists, and senior courtiers debated quietly but passionately. If leaks occurred, hiding would simply increase suspicion, hence some advocated rapid disclosure. Others advocated complete concealment, saying that acknowledgement would fuel conjecture and rekindle royal family scars after years of healing. King Charles appeared stressed, palace insiders said. He felt the discovery personally and institutionally. This went beyond history. His wife, his ex-wife, and the monarchy's frail devotion and memory were the focus. His son's needs came first. How would Harry and William react? How could anyone communicate this revelation to them, let alone the public? Security officers inspecting were under stringent confidentiality agreements. They disappeared from records in days. It was impossible to impose silence. Too many workers had watched the operation, and even duty-bound staff began whispering in the royal halls. The question persisted. Why were Diana's manuscripts buried in Camilla's private rooms instead of archived? The unpredictability sparked suspicion. Some sources believed the chest was moved, lost, and hidden after Diana's death. Others suggested she deliberately hid the writings from the public and her boys. The press office, normally eager to elucidate, did nothing. No confirmation, denial, or artfully phrased evasion. The stillness said volumes. Lack of control and narrative produced a larger vacuum that the media and public wanted to fill. What began as a hidden wall and dusty chest had grown into a test of transparency and loyalty. The kingdoms to endure realities they had tried to hide. For the palace, the discovery no longer caused alarm. Help our kids feel appreciated. It was about what would happen if the world knew everything Diana left. The silence may have protected the crown, but Diana's truths could topple it. Stay updated. Prince Awakening tells it all. William and Harry's hard wake. The discovery didn't reach Diana's sons through palace channels or carefully prepared briefings. Instead, bits of information entered their worlds. An urgent message here, a quiet explanation there, until the truth was revealed. Camilla found their mother's decades-old comments sealed behind a wall in her bedroom. Prince William felt uneasy by the news. Was profoundly personal. Diana's memory was his patrimony and foundation for public service. Her shadow was everywhere as he approached the throne, and now her voice had returned in a way that honored her and reopened wounds he had been healing for years. His mother's journals were saved and hidden, not history. Their hiding in Camilla's private chambers seemed like an intrusion on her legacy. Though grieving, Prince Harry's response was sharper. This discovery strengthened his conviction that too much of his mother's tale had been controlled, altered, or repressed. Distance from the facility had already allowed him to talk freely. Close insiders say Harry requested rapid disclosure, claiming Diana's writings belonged to her family, not royal vault secret committees. Despite their differences, the brothers felt the same agony. William took precautions to avoid public scrutiny of his mother's comments before he understood them. Harry, however, saw no reason for delay or secrecy since their mother's voice had already been taken. They had candid, emotional, and sometimes acrimonious chats behind closed doors. The same divisions that had arisen in recent years returned, but behind them was a truth neither could escape. Diana reappeared, wanting recognition, and both sons felt responsible. William and Harry's involvement prevented the palace from handling the issue quietly. This went beyond security and regal image. It was about a mother's voice resurrected from stillness and two sons refusing to bury it. The waking was painful, yet a reminder for William and Harry. The reality of their mother had survived in shadows and revealed itself to them. Camilla's rage and quiet. Camilla was shocked and disbelieving when she learned the news. During the briefing, witnesses saw her face go from confused to furious quickly. She demanded to know who had ordered the investigation, why her private suite had been thoroughly searched, and most crucially, how something so sensitive had been found there without her knowing. Her attendants tried to convince her that the inspection was regular and unavoidable, but she scarcely noticed. Camilla was furious at the intrusion and innuendo. Diana couldn't overlook the metaphorical weight of finding her most personal writings in her own home. It seemed like history had crawled into her bedroom, unwilling to let her escape the decades-long shadow she had lived under. Camilla appeared silent. She said nothing. Behind palace walls, her rage was clear. She accused staff of incompetence and treason, alleging someone arranged the whole incident to embarrass her. The idea that Diana's voice may suddenly return from her most private location was irritating. Disgrace threatened years of image building. The discovery strained her relationship with King Charles. Charles preferred calm method to manage the aftermath, but Camilla was protective and belligerent. She needed answers and power. Every murmur about what was found appeared to weaken control. Camilla declined to address the problem openly despite advisors' dispute. Any denial, she said, would simply fuel speculation, but her silence sparked suspicion. To the public, her silence appeared evasive. For insiders, it seemed like fear. According to those close to the Queen consort, the discovery's potential narrative that Diana's presence was unshakable even during her reign infuriated her most. The past had broken through again, this time in her refuge. She loved writing like everyone else. For a decade, she composed poetry. Camilla's silence lacked power. It was the sound of someone trapped by ghosts she could never escape, a legacy that refuses to die. The chest discovery revealed more than forgotten journals. It broke decades of silence. Diana resurrected her voice, assumed to be lost in memory and meticulously curated archives, unfiltered and unsoftenable. Every word and syllable reminded her that her narrative was not over, no matter how hard the palace tried to control it. This was hardly the Diana depicted in glossy photos and royal documentaries. Not rehearsed or secondhand interviews. Private reflections emanated from Camilla's bedroom wall, unfiltered and achingly personal. They discussed invisibility, longing, and a woman whose outward grin often hid her anguish. Decades later, their thoughts outweighed any palace proclamation. The writings brought back memories of their mother for Prince William and Harry. The boys learned new things about her. She kept her reflections private. Their find was both gift and hurt. An unanticipated connection hurt by secrecy. Why were these pages hidden? Why here of all places? The consequences devastated Camilla. Diana's journals weren't the only discovery. They were found there. Significance was evident beyond her bedroom wall in her private rooms. Even without knowing how the writings got there, she was seen as the custodian of another woman's repressed truth. Anxiety turned to reckoning in Buckingham Palace. Courtiers argued. Advisors disputed, but reality was inevitable. Diana's voice was heard. The monarchy, constructed for order and control, now faces uncontrollable power. Because some legacies are too strong to bury. One was Diana's. Those words, ripped from a sealed wall, brought her back. It was an unforgettable voice, not a recollection. What does this hidden revelation entail for Camilla and the monarchy's tenuous balance? Can Diana's voice ever be silenced? Please share your ideas. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.